live for the Brewery Underground Podcast.
In Nashville's harbor wise, craft and brews will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite.
Hey, Stephen Scott, we are back in Nashville, Tennessee on the Brewery Underground Podcast. And Scott, man, we're excited as we always are because today we are going to Cincinnati. We are talking to Garrett Hickey. He is the owner and head brewer at Streetside Brewing in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, my hometown. Garrett, man, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for this. Was a quick turnaround too. I think we reached out to. We got this booked in like a week or two or something, which was pretty great turnaround. So thanks for being interested.
Yeah, this is it's always this is right before fest season, so this is a good time to get something in. Not that we're going down to festivals or out to festivals on a Wednesday, but it is one of those things where once it gets into the summer, the timing starts to get a little iffy.
Yeah. You know, the weather's turning, right? Everything's getting nice. Everybody's outside. And, you guys are probably already planning some stuff for the fall, I would imagine, too. Not just events necessarily, but, your beers, you got to look that far out, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about our fest beer yesterday, deciding how much we wanted to make and like what our lager plan was for basically after the fest beer, like how we want to run the rest of the year, because we know we're going to make the fest beer and how we'll run like the last three lagers of the year. Like if we're going to do fest beer, nothing, and then like like a darker lager that we always release like January or December, January, or if we were going to run just like try to get three out around that time. And because we have a couple lagers that we haven't done in a minute, and we've been trying to run them back, but it's busy, and you know how it goes, trying to get the beers that pay the bills out there. So,
well, speaking of beer, we have to thank you because you sent us some really great beer, and Scott and I are going to talk about one we just had at his house last night. But you brought us and you sent us the Spring Breaker, which I am actually drinking right now.
Nice.
And ironically, this is one that you did a collab with New Groove.
Yes.
And we just had them on our podcast not long ago. You have a good connection with them.
That was unintentional, but I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah, that was perfect. Those guys were great. We brought you up in the conversation too, so we might get a little bit into that a little bit more during this episode, but it was cool. We kind of brought you into that. So very nice. I've got the one, and Steve and I met up last night, and he shared what he had that you had sent. It's the our New England that we're brewing the 88th batch of over the last 10 years next week. Holy shit! Really?
Yeah, it is like a full 10th of our production over the last 10 years.
Does the recipe change? Or has it changed over those years, or does the beer just vary a little bit, even though the recipe might be the same?
The only thing that's really changed is the base malt. So the base malt has progressed to a lighter base as people's visual palette has changed. Back when we opened, everyone really wanted that like orange juice looking New England, and now you're kind of getting more towards that pale. Yep, there you go. The straw pale looking beer. I think it's still a little bit probably darker than your average, but we're trying to keep it somewhat true to the original recipe. Other than the base malt, though, it is 100% everything's still the same.
So if I could read a quick description of it, it says flavor leads with soft mango and pineapple, peach in light darkness, and then is rounded out by soft, fluffy, almost creamy body.
Yeah, That description is like 9.5 years old, so it could probably use some updating. But
well, I'll tell you, I haven't tried it yet, but it's all those things visually.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely gotten more like as we've brewed more and more of it, we've kind of learned. I mean, we have learned a lot through. This has been like a big year of secondary learning, I guess, tertiary learning for me, where I started listening to a lot more podcasts. I had gone through a long time of just kind of not delving into the craft as much as I had, just being busy and not kind of just being in the muck of every year in and year out. You kind of go through phases where you're learning, and then you kind of like let everybody else kind of do the legwork on research. And then right now I'm ramping back up. So I've made some tweaks procedurally to that beer and to all of our New Englands that I think has really helped.
Well, I know you said that
it's delicious.
You were brewing today. Yeah. You said that you were brewing today. Did you bring anything that you're drinking on the podcast?
I went to my parents' house and helped them re-season their Blackstone, and then I came home and did some gardening. So I am drinking water right now. Yeah, it's been busy. So it was a busy day brewing, and we had tanks to clean and some barrel age projects that we were working on. And then I had busy personal stuff. So it is definitely, I'm ramping down right now.
Well, thanks for fitting us in, truly.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we'll take it easy on you. The other beer before Scott and I get to the one that we've already had, I also have with me the Coconut Beachside.
Yep.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, sure. That is a collab with a local restaurant, better beer restaurant, Hop and Vines, as you could see on the back of the can. We originally brewed it in 2020, I think. So like right in the midst of COVID or 2021. I can't remember but it was definitely like right there. Everything was kind of shut down. It was the original version is a key lime pie milkshake IPA. For their anniversary this year, we did a variant, a big batch of a variant. So we did coconut key lime pie. We'd done a small keg only batch of that last year. They enjoyed it. They asked us to scale it up to production size. So that's what we did. Key lime, bunch of vanilla, probably, I think it's like 7,500 pounds of coconut between toasted coconut and just like raw, normal coconut that you would get out of like whatever you see at a store. I believe we put a little coconut cream in there as well. We didn't put a whole ton of it in there because of we wanted the head retention to remain, but we really wanted to push that coconut to the forefront on that beer because key lime is a very strong flavor, and it's hard to overcome it when you're trying to like match it with something else. So you got to really push the limits on the other ingredient that you're adding with it.
I know Steve was excited about that can because when he got the cans, he was like, "Do you mind if I keep this one?" Because he was really looking forward to drinking that beer.
Yeah, that's we used to make a lot more milkshakes, so that's I don't know if we would call it like our specialty, but it was like something that we did a ton of, and we've done, as sales have gone down on milkshake IPAs in general, we've definitely done less and less, but we'll do like 3 to 4 a year, and that's one we almost always do for the spring because that's their Hop and Vine's anniversary is in April, so we almost always have it for the start of spring, middle of spring, beginning of summer.
Because those types of beers and those sales of those beers have gone down, are you still kind of expected? I know you say you make 3 or 4 a year, but are you still kind of expected as Streetside to still make those? Certain people like, hey, you kind of overdue for one, and we're looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I think like if we weren't brewing like specific, like John Lemon is our December milkshake. It's always a lemon meringue milkshake IPA. I feel like if we didn't do that one, there would definitely be some comments for sure. Like when we've retired popular beers, we do hear about it. I think we had a guy come in last week to do a barrel pick. He won in an auction, and he told me like his daughter, her favorite beer was one of the milkshakes that we don't make anymore. I said, well, maybe now that I hear somebody talking about, maybe it'll go back on the list. We used to make a ton of it, and now I don't even know. It's probably been 3 years since we made it last. So I don't know. Sometimes if you talk about it enough, or if I see it online or whatever, there's always a chance that it'll get in my head, and I'll throw it on the brewer list just because whatever. I feel like it's something that we haven't done in a minute, and we have improved brewing processes that we could probably make it better. So,
well, Scott and I, being brewery guys, we just love to try anything. So, if you walk in, we haven't had it, we're likely gonna try it. But
yeah, for sure.
there is one more beer, and when you sent that beer to my house on Saturday, Scott was out of town. He was in Asheville on a beer trip.
Nice.
And so I went over to his house last night, and I brought this beer over, and we did a beer share on his porch. And we made a video, and we'll put that out soon. But Scott, would you like to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, too. First of all, the plan was to drink and share 2 of those beers last night, and we started with this one. He was like, "I got to drive. We're not going to do 2. We're going to do just the one."
Yeah, we live about a half hour from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the beer is Decadence Speak of the Devil, and it's 14.5%, and it's an Imperial Double Stout, and it was freaking amazing. Let me give a quick description if I can. Toasted coconut, cashew, almonds, bee pollen, Indonesian West Papua vanilla beans, and it was aged in apple brandy maple syrup barrels for 2 years. Incredible.
Yes.
And it was all of those things, including 14.5%.
Yeah, that was I think that's probably the most popular, maybe second most popular of our Speak of the Devil releases this year. We had a couple single cans left over, so I got it down to you guys. That is actually another New Groove beer. They did it. I don't remember what beer they did it, but I saw it when they were doing their release. I think it was for their Black Friday event this past year. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to steal the idea. So I think it even says it on the description where I said it's inspired by those guys.
Yep.
So you guys got 2 beers that either were brewed with or inspired by New Groove. But yeah, that
absolutely, yes.
I mean, they do a ton of barrel aged stuff, a ton of great barrel aged stuff. If you have the opportunity to borrow from a friend, it's always a good idea if you can. But yeah, we that's one of those ones, like, normally if I'm looking for new ideas, I'll pop on Untappd and I'll scroll through, see what like go through the top rated stouts on that top rated list, just go through and scroll down and see what other people have done that's done well. And that's kind of some of the beers that we do are inspired by that. Some of it is beers that we've done, obviously, in the past that we're bringing back, or variants of different stouts that we want to do with the new stout, new base. Some of it is just like straight up, just steal it from somebody else.
I do feel like when you and New Groove get together, it's like these 2 great minds come together that do really well at both of what you guys do. You do it very well, and you come together and do it even better together. It's so cool.
Yeah. We've done some good stuff with those guys, and I'm very appreciative of the help that they've given us, and the invite to Woodstock this past year and all that. So
back on that beer real quick we had last night. We poured it, and Steve goes, "What's the first thing you get?" I go, "It's the maple syrup. You got the syrup right on the nose, and it was incredible."
Yeah.
And you tasted it all the way through too.
Yeah, so those barrels, we do a VIP event before all of our stout releases. And those barrels have been tasted a couple times by the people at the VIP event, and they're always super popular. It's just like everyone's like, when are you going to release that? When are you going to release that? When are you going to release that? So this was the year that we released all the Speak of the Devils. We still have a couple of those barrels just tucked away with just like barrels that we're using for blenders. They'll probably never see the light of day as like the brand that's written on the barrels. They'll probably get blended into either Demogorgon or Speak of the Devil, or I know we're releasing one of those barrels in a blend that we're releasing for July 4th. So we have a couple left they'll get blended in the next couple releases. So you'll still get some of the benefit of those barrels, which are great in future releases.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is I can't speak for Scott, but I can speak for myself that is my number one rated beer so far this year on
Hell
Untapped.
yeah.
We said last night that we just did a kind of mid-review thing, best beers so far, and then we do a year-end, best beers of the year. And we both said that is going to end up on the list somewhere very high on the list, that beer for both of us.
That's yeah, it was, like I said, it was super popular. I think we still have it on draft, but the Speak of the Devil this year is way more limited than it has been in the past. So I would expect almost all of the Speak of the Devil that we have here to be gone here shortly. Like, I know we still have a couple cans of the less popular variants, but then the draft should all be gone. Next year it'll just be all new stuff on tap next, like when we do our next release.
I know you've been brewing for a while and you've been at it for a while, but when you have a beer like this and you feel like you've nailed it as it's going out, is there some high-fiving going on with you and some of the other people there that some of the other employees, like, we have freaking nailed this one and we cannot wait to get it out?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's honestly, it's a little bit, it's not stressful, but it is like, if we wanted to put this into a competition, it's actually it's causes a little consternation on our end, because like FOBAB is until later this year, and it's not like we want to hold on to this specific variant for however many months, you know what I mean? I think we're going to end up redoing same variant with everything with Demogorgon that would release on Halloween this year. So like, it is nice because we know we're going to do one variant that we're going to do this year out of however many barrels. Like last year, I think we did 8 or 9 variants. So it is nice. It's nice to have like something that we know that we can fall back on if we want to make a beer that people really like. But yeah, I mean, like, for the most part, most of the guys, we were more excited about the Nocino barrel that we had, that was like a Ohio distiller, their black walnut liqueur. We were pretty excited about that one because that was just straight barrel. Definitely not like the most beloved on Untapped, but it is. Sometimes you just got to do one for you. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep. And I bet you still had some people out there that really appreciated that too, with Untapped or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially those styles aren't for everyone. And, we've talked about this all the time. Somebody might check it in, not like the style, and not really appreciate that beer for what it is.
Yeah, it's like, because it's such a big, thick stout without any adjuncts in it, you're getting a ton of stout and you're getting a ton of barrel, especially when they age for 2 years. So you really have to be like, if you don't love that barrel or you don't love the base, it's really tough, I'm sure, to check it in. It's not my thing, but I understand that like that's a big thing for most consumers is their check-ins. So
I can appreciate you guys and New Groove still doing that. There's a lot of, we're kind of getting away from that. People are going to beer flavored beer, and you guys do some of that too. We'll talk about it, but you guys are still keeping that alive, and you're doing a really good job of that too.
Yeah, the market in Cincinnati is still like, we have our beer flavored beers, but the market's still there for sweet stouts. I mean, hazy IPAs, I think, have almost become like, that is beer flavored beer at this point. But West Coast IPAs West Coast Pills, obviously, like what you got, West Coast IPAs are making a comeback. It's probably like, if you look at our brewing schedule, it's probably like, I typically order in like 6 beers at a time. When I'm ordering, it's like 2 IPAs or 2 New Englands, 1 West Coast, or something like more perceived bitterness, a fruited sour, and then like probably something for like the OG beer fans, whether it's like an amber, which is, we do an ESB and just call it an amber. It's easier to describe it that way.
Sure.
Or
sells more.
Yeah, it definitely sells more than saying an ESB or doing like our mild or brown ale or anything like that. We're trying to do that's like the last one, just to make sure that we have something on that appeals to everybody.
Yeah, I was sitting there last night as we were drinking the Decadence, and I said to Scott, I said, and we've been to a lot of breweries in Cincinnati. I think it's one of the things that really makes you all stand out because you're not probably going to walk into a lot of breweries in Cincinnati and see something that's 14.5% on the board.
There's just not as many breweries doing super high stouts. I mean, it's just super high ABV stouts. I think it's less of a need for them, whereas like our market and our crowd is still like looking specifically for that kind of beer. Like you're not going to Mad Tree and getting a 14% beer. Their crowd is definitely more looking for that drinkable, like everyday beer. Whereas like we have our releases, we have our Tavor buy stuff. We've got our festivals. We do have to have that stock of like higher end beer isn't the way to say it, but like the premium product that is like that you would sell for $22 a 2-pack or whatever we're selling the beers for nowadays. I think that's one of those things where like there's some breweries that do it, some breweries that don't. It doesn't like one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. Like as long as you're making money and selling beer, it's all good.
Yeah, that's a lot of it, I would think. Let's go back. You were talking a little bit before about Untapped.
Mm.
How much do you use Untapped as a resource?
Probably more than I should. I look at it. If we release a new beer, I like to check it to see like what people are saying about it. If we release like a brown ale, which we're never gonna do, we've got one brown ale, and that's the only brown ale that we're gonna do because it doesn't make sense to have multiple brown ales. Like I don't care. I don't care what people check it as because it's not a style that's gonna rank highly. It is. I'll check to see like what people do on stouts. I'll check to see what people are rating for New England's, and then other than that, it is what it is for the most part. I am curious every time we do a West Coast Pils, just because it's a newer style and I want to see how people are receiving it. But for the most part, I'm really only in there on the like hype beers. You know what I mean? I want to see what people are saying about the beers that I perceive. Like I think that people should be hyped about, and see if they agree with me. So like we just released a double New England IPA on Tuesday. Curious to see how it does on Untapped. I haven't checked it. We weren't super busy last night. So wait, was last night Tuesday? Yes. We did on Monday. We released it on Monday, so it's been on sale for almost 2 days now. So it'll be interesting to see like how that goes throughout the weekend. We're releasing another New England on Friday, so those two I'll check up on throughout the weekend, see how they go. I'm hoping the double does well. It's in that 10-year series that we did with New Groove. We've done with, I mean, we're halfway through, so we've done a bunch. We did Mad Tree at the very beginning. We did Voodoo at the very beginning. This month, we are brewing with Dorothy Lane Market, which is a grocery store in Dayton and Mason, doing a Galaxy Dry Hop Saison with honey. So that'll be our June release. But it's always that one I care a little bit more about because we're putting it behind it, the 10-year collab series. So I'm always a little bit more on top of those as well, even if they are like boring styles or whatever.
So obviously the better when it comes to Untapped ratings, but what's like satisfactory for you of what you're looking at?
4. Anything, well, 3.9 is probably like the lowest I like to see. I mean, it also depends on the style, you know what I mean? Our lagers are never going to hit. If we got a 3.8 on a lager, like it's killer. Like might be like the best beer we've ever done. But on like a stout, anything below a 4.15 is not great. On a New England, it's like 4.395 is probably what I'm looking for, which sounds kind of ridiculous when you think about the scale as out of 5. But that's just kind of like it's kind of where we're at.
I can tell you this, and we're not cheating. The beer we had last night, I gave it a 4.8. Steve gave it a 4.9.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
So I hope that was pretty good.
I'm sure they'll drag it up because because it's not like, because it was limited.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's not, it's each really high rating drags up that overall, which is nice.
Yeah. I like the fact that you use Untappd for research too, going back and just finding stuff in there too, because it is a great tool for that. And as a brewer, I know you guys look at it differently from your side than our side.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, like, it's at this point, like, it's hard to keep track of everybody's releases. Like, I don't know what everybody's doing anymore. It's there's so many releases, and there's so, like, even like people that I'm friendly with or I'm friends with or whatever. It's just like I don't follow breweries on my personal account for the most part, on my personal Instagram account. So I'm not seeing what other people are doing in my whatever. I'm doing air quotes. I don't know if my box goes out that far, but in my quote unquote personal time, I'm not doing a whole lot of like seeing what releases are doing or are going. So like if I'm not on the brewery account, the brewery Instagram account or the brewery Facebook account, I'm not seeing what other breweries are doing, mostly just because like I'm trying to, if I can, get a little bit of time away from looking at beer stuff when I'm not listening to podcasts or whatever. And I run a lot of the social media anyway, so like I am very often on there. But yeah, I try not to. I just don't see releases quite as much anymore. So it is really nice to be able to like get on there, especially top rated. Obviously, click on, see what the best breweries in the world are doing. I think I leave it all the way up to world. I don't even narrow it down to the US. So sometimes it is like you see this esoteric brewery in Finland that just did like a crazy hazelnut stout with some stuff that like we can't even get in the US, and now I have to like be like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. But you just go and scroll down to the next one, see if it's a good idea or not, or whatever.
You imagine Finland. I think about some of those Scandinavian countries, and I know because I've seen and done I've seen like some of those weird, whale blubber ingredients with such and such smoked something, and I'm like,
I've seen. There was something somewhat recently that like got pushed in my algorithm. I saw something weird. I was like, that's I'm glad that we have some kind of constraints here that don't allow people to do that.
Are you the one that has those constraints?
He votes for him.
There's stuff that I do. There's some things that I've said no to that I don't really like. Like I'm not a big fruit in stout person. So that's one of those ones where like you won't see a whole lot of those from us. Pepper, I'm not a big pepper and stout person. So those are the two. We've done them, but it's definitely not one of those things that we do a whole lot of. So if you see it, it means somebody won an argument, or it might be a collab that was really passionate about doing that style.
How many people are involved in these conversations besides yourself?
It's really just me and our production manager, Steve.
Okay.
He's kind of in charge of like the execution of my ideas. So like a lot of times I'll be like, all right, I want to do this. And then he'll go off and he'll be buying the ingredients and he'll do the actual dosing and everything. But speaking of the devil, it was kind of like equal parts him and I. I feel like we were just like very busy during that time. That April was a incredibly busy month for us. So we had a lot going on leading up to it. Basically from St. Patrick's Day till the end of April, we were jam-packed. So he and I both like really were like buying ingredients, dosing everything, getting it going, packaging, and then just keep going, keep doing that. With like there was for the sub raw day that we did on 4/18, we packaged 3 variants in a day just to get it. I mean, that's 45 cases. It's not a ton of cases, but it was like you got to flip the tank, you got to get the new beer in, you got to dose the new beer, then you got to package it. So it was a long day. I think, it's just one of those things where like you're just banging out beers, trying to get them ready for releases. And we're slowing down now. We don't have any events planned for quite some time, so we don't have to worry about that as much. But now we're ramping up big production, not like small production runs for limited releases. So now's the time where whatever like I said, brewed this morning. I'm brewing on Friday, and then brewing again on Monday. So, and then I think on Memorial Day, I already have, I'm scheduled to brew on that day as well. We have 2 brewers, 2.5 brewers ish. So if somebody's out of town or somebody wants the day off, it typically falls to me. So that's why I am getting loaded right now, because not loaded with drink, loaded with production, because the guy who is the second brewer, he has a lot of days off scheduled in May. So I get the pleasure of brewing many, many beers this month.
We can't forget beers.
No.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
need you in there.
Yes, I agree.
I know you have a sense of humor, because in December, I was in Cincinnati up for the holidays visiting my family, and I'm from the west side of Cincinnati, and right down the street from where my sister and brother-in-law live, there's a Marathon gas station. It has a little tap room. I've gotten some Streetside on their taps before, and they sell Streetside, and I looked up, and I saw some Streetside, and the name alone of this one got me. It hooked me in. I bought a 4-pack of This Shit is Bananas.
Yeah.
I brought it back. I gave one to Scott. Can you describe this beer, and are you the one that was behind brewing this one?
I don't think I brewed it, but that was my naming, my name. If you look at a beer, typically it's named by me.
Yeah.
It's like 99% of the beers are named by me. Yes, that was me. That was banana pancake sour. I don't even remember the whole thing, but that was for our 800th batch of beer, I believe.
Jesus.
No, 900th, because we're coming up on, it'll be 1,000. Today's batch was actually 950. So we'll probably hit 1,000 by the end of the year. But yes, there are some of the beers are named interesting things. If you ever, people don't, but like if you ever read the description, sometimes I will sneak some interesting things in there as well.
Some Easter eggs.
You
ever put like an Easter eggs in there? Yeah.
You never know, especially if it's like if the label has to do with like a whatever popular culture. I'll try to sneak some references into the description if I can. I mean, Spring Breakers has a it's funny because our creative guy was like, this doesn't really jive with the label, but the label's very heartfelt, and like talking about how we vacation in South Carolina. Like our family, the Hickey family, goes down to South Carolina like every year. My mom's down there right now. My dad's going down on Friday. So we're talking about how like South Carolina means so much to us. And then the label is from the movie Spring Breakers, which if you've seen it, it's a pretty ridiculous movie.
Yeah.
It's not really, doesn't really jive with a heartfelt description, but here we are.
Well, going back to that beer real quick, because, it says it's packed with banana, maple, cinnamon, pancakes. And for me, it was like, I feel like I'm going into an IHOP, and this is what I've ordered, but I also felt like I was in a Willy Wonka movie. If you remember the old Willy Wonka with the gobstopper, and I was like,
oh, yeah.
This is absolutely incredible. And I mean, you guys nailed it. And to me, and I know Scott's the same way, as brewery guys, you just love that kind of experience.
Yeah. Like I say it whenever we do a beer, like if I put that it tastes like something, I want you to be able to taste it. Like I don't want you to come from that experience of drinking it and say this doesn't taste like what I like what the label says. So that's a big one for me. That's always been like a pet peeve of mine from the early days when I was back doing beer shares and all that, like when people would be like, oh, this is this and this and this, and then you taste it, like you don't taste anything. I'd rather go overboard than underboard.
Yeah.
I know underboard isn't really the way to describe that, but whatever. We're on minute 38. I'm gonna say some words that don't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, that's okay. We got a lot to get to, and I'm gonna throw out one more at you, because Scott was with me. When we went to Streetside a few years ago, and my cousin was with me. And the other day, he had texted me something, and I said, "Hey, we got Streetside Brewery coming on." My cousin lives over in Anderson Township, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember when you had that." He called it the Blue Concoction. I had gotten a flight, and it was the the Blue Monday,
Blue ice cream beer. Yeah,
the ice cream beer. Let me tell you something was really funny about that. We do a big Reds outing every year. My family we do, and the next day, we had gone to the Reds game. My cousin there, Scott was there, and I about 3 or 4 of my cousins come up to me and they said, "I heard you had like this wild blue beer last night at Streetside."
Yeah.
So it was kind of a talk. It was talk of the Reds game in my family, man.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That actually, it was not supposed to be a full batch. It was supposed to be 4 barrels, and I did bad math, and like the ice cream that we got was in a 5-gallon bucket. They dump it into their soft serve machine. That's how they make it. My math was way off, and I dumped it into our 4-barrel tank, our 4-barrel like small release tank. Steve actually was like, "Yo, this is not right. This is way too much." And I think I may have gone out of town, maybe. I may have done it on like a Thursday and left for the weekend. It may have been a festival, may have gone out on vacation. Unlikely vacation, probably festival. But I came back and he's like, we got to not do whatever sour we were planning on doing and like put all of this together in a big tank. And he's like, I don't even know that it's going to like taste right after that. He's like, you may have just added so much that like we need to do like a 20-barrel batch as opposed to like a 15. And then we did it, and obviously it was overly blue. I thought it was a fun beer, fun concept, but I don't think we'll ever do that one again. Unfortunately, that was
that's okay. I have a picture of it on my phone though. So
yeah, I was gonna say I do too.
When we post some things about this episode, I'll have to find that one and stick it out there.
Yeah,
it was quite colorful for sure.
It was. I had quite a few people texting me about that beer, especially like festivals or whatever, because it coated glasses and just kind of looked. It was just like it was a fun idea that obviously got executed on poorly by me, and then we made it right-ish. I think I would have to like think real hard on how I wanted to do it again if I was to do it again.
How did it end up ultimately? Did you sell through all of it?
We did sell through all of it. I don't know. I didn't drink it, honestly. I have no idea. I had it once, I'm sure. Yeah, I was gonna say Steve will have to say maybe look back on your Untappd rating and see what you gave it, because it's not one of those ones that I expected a whole lot of. I think it's probably
so true confession. I did look. I rated it a 3.50.
There you go. Yeah. That's about right. If you look at if you look at the overall, I think that's probably about.
And I don't know. You asked because I don't normally will say that to her. But by the way, I mean, I don't. It was all right, but you know what? Again,
it was a lot.
It's what we said. It makes the outings fun. I mean, it became a conversation of cousins at a Reds game, for God's sake. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. You'll take the 3.5, won't you? You're like, I'll take the 3.5 and move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially on that one. It is what again. It was. I knew it was gonna be hit or miss when we did it, and then after everything, it was even more hit or miss. So I'm glad. It's one of those ones. Some of these beers that we do, I'm just like, all right, I'm ready for this to be out in the world and out of my tanks. We've had a couple of those where I'm just like, who knows what people are going to think of this beer. I'm just happy that I don't have to deal with it anymore.
when you get it out of the
beer
back,
go with God.
When you get it out of the back of the house and you get it gone, you're like, okay, it's your problem now, kind of thing, or it's the world.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if it's something that somebody else wanted to do, and I'm just like, all right, well, this was your thing, and I made it the best I could, and hopefully it sells. So that was that was a 100% me thing. That was after talking with RAR. Their brewer was like, you guys could do this pretty easy. And I was like, all right, I'll try it, and it just didn't go over well. I don't know. Maybe now that we're talking about, maybe I'll try it again this summer or something.
Well, you learn from mistakes
with a little bit more restraint.
Yeah,
with a little bit more restraint, a little bit more. Just restraint. Really, that's all I need to do. And we've changed our sour base too, which I think would help a lot. I think it also like dial back the sourness. Use one of the like a lacto blend that doesn't produce quite so much not phosphoric acid. Excuse me, lactic acid.
Hey, you got my support. You do it again, we'll bring you back on.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Totally. And I love that you mentioned RAR, because we've had some of those beers. We've had a lot of those beers, and man, you want to talk about colorful. We did an episode.
Yeah.
And we had flights of it, and 3 of the 4 that Steve had were white.
Yes.
And he had 3 whites and a blue.
They love their ice cream. Oh, that's that. He's helped me along with that one. We just don't do it a whole lot. That style beer doesn't really sell well for us. We are going to do a smoothie sour release in July 18th, I think is what we're going to do. We used to do a series called Too Cool that I think we did like 4 or 5 variants of, and then I just kind of it was just like, they sold well, but it just it became too much. At some point you got to kind of pare down the things that you're doing, especially when you're doing, you've got all the other sours that have to be released. So I just was like, yeah, this is too much. We can't do it. So we're going to bring them back. We're going to do a little festival or anything, but just a release day, like we do a Sub Raw Day or Return the Mac Day or whatever. We'll see how people respond to it. It'll be nice to gauge people's interest in something that we haven't done in quite some time.
I am really fascinated with your beer story, like how you got started. You were a home brewer. Yes. And you brewed beer with your dad, right? Like in the garage.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Well, to start, I was a ticket sales rep for a minor league baseball team. He started home brewing in Cincinnati. I was in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was the off season, so I had a lot of time to kill on the leaving work. I don't know if you've ever been to Erie, Pennsylvania in the winter, but there's not a whole lot to do. It's very cold. That was actually the snowiest year I think they've had. At this point, I think it's 12, 13 years. We won the Golden Snow Globe that year, which is most snow in a city over 50,000 people, I believe.
Wow.
Or we came in second, but it was ridiculous. It was 200 something inches of snow that year. So I didn't have a whole lot to do. You can basically drink, work, and watch TV. That's what I did. So he started homebrewing. I was like, oh, I think I can do better than you. So I'm going to start homebrewing. I started homebrewing. I had more people to give it to because I had coworkers, and we'd drink the homebrew as we were prepping the stadium for the spring. And then from there, I kind of pivoted very quickly. My parents had always wanted to start a bar in Cincinnati. And we're like, well, why not do a brewery? It makes all the sense in the world to make your own product as opposed to buy product, which is obviously, a lot of people say it's extremely naive. You shouldn't do that. That should not be how you go about opening a brewery. So I ended up quitting the job mid-season, came back home, started homebrewing. I worked at a bar during the day. I was bar backing, and then I would volunteer at Mad Tree during my off time on their canning line. Back when the canning line was a behemoth. It was I think you had to have 6 people working it, which is now I think you probably have 3 people working quadruple the size canning line over there. But I would volunteer over there. They paid me in beer. Then I kept working at the bar. And as we looked for a site for the brewery, I was like, well, I don't know that I'm gonna learn enough just home brewing. So I looked for a school with like a practical side, like a brewing school with a practical side. Found one in Sunderland, England, which is on the coast right by Newcastle. And you didn't really apply, you just paid. So I went over there. I was over there for 3 months, worked. We only, whatever it is, 11 weeks, 10 weeks total of actual brewing time, maybe a little bit longer. I can't remember. Every week, 2 days were theoretical. No, 3 days were theoretical, 2 days were practical. We basically homebrew one day and then go another day. We'd go around the area to breweries in Northeast England, and we'd work at a brewery, see how it worked over there, and then basically it's just like hung out in Europe for those months. Like I was most weekends I was out like exploring. I would either go. I think I went to Newcastle one night, which is that's like the party center of that area. But I went to Glasgow, went to Edinburgh, I went to Dublin, I went to Belfast, I went all over Europe. That's obviously just the UK-ish, in Republic of Ireland. But I did do other things. I went to France, I went to Belgium.
Did you find good beer over there, by the way?
Did find some good beer. Got to drink at Cantillon. Got to drink a bunch of wine in France. So I got to experience some interesting places, some interesting beverages, and then I learned a bunch. Our teacher was formerly the head of production at Newcastle, and he had a lot of experience, like very large, but he knew everything. So learned a lot from him, and then came back to Cincinnati and almost immediately got a job at Rivertown, which now no longer exists, but they were in Lockland, and got a job. I was on the packaging side for a couple weeks just to make sure I wouldn't quit. And then they moved me over to the cellar side. So cleaning tanks, transferring beer, whatever, taking gravities, all that stuff. It's mostly when you're doing that much beer, it's mostly cleaning tanks and transferring and filtering. And they moved me over to the brewing side pretty quickly after that. I was only cellaring for about a month, maybe a month and a half. And then I was first shift on the brewing side for about 10 months, and then left that, worked at a bartending, so I could kind of get another aspect of like what front of house side, and then we opened Streetside shortly after that. So I tried to get all aspects of everything. So I did everything on the way to make sure that I at least had some idea of how to do anything that might come up at the brewery.
When you're at Brew Lab, are they teaching you kind of the practices of that part of the world?
It was a lot of English practices. One of the biggest difference really is, there's a couple. The first one is like, even though they've been brewing obviously forever, and the brewing industry over there is significantly more advanced time-wise, there are still breweries over there that are using like plastic fermenters, and like the equipment just like is pretty shitty, honestly. And it's crazy that these places are like doing well and surviving, running on like the most raggedy ass equipment that you've ever seen. Like it's crazy, like in like warehouses that are like not very nice. And like you go to a brewery in the US and you see that and you assume the beer is probably gonna be pretty bad. And they make pretty good beer at most of these places. It's pretty crazy. I mean, the place that I'm talking about that had the plastic fermenters didn't make very good beer. But so that was like a big one, is like, it's crazy. They were able to make pretty good to very good beer on bad equipment. And then the other thing is like they use all whole leaf hops. So it is a huge difference coming over. And the big difference between like once you're in the kettle, there's a huge change. So there was like a weird adjustment period when I started using, like, obviously at Rivertown, when I got over here, I had used whole leaf hops on a production level. I'd never used like pelletized hops on a production level, and there was definitely like a weird thing. I was like, how do I filter this beer out? Because the holy fat hops act as a filter for them. They don't really, a lot of those places don't have a whirlpool to settle everything out, which is how you settle out like protein and hops in American brew houses. I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't know. And then like, obviously you run a whirlpool and it's all fine. You just spray it out. But over there, like, you throw in those hops, you might do like a whirlpool if they have the whirlpool arm. And at the end of the day, you like spray down the giant cone of whole leaf hops with cold water. And then you climb in, you shovel it into a garbage can. So your days are much stickier and you're in the equipment way more than you would be over here. Like most of the time, I'm not climbing the kettle at the end of the day unless something went really wrong.
So they're not brewing over there like a decadence.
I was gonna say this, yeah.
Some of them might. I mean, like you do have your American. I don't want to call it American style, but you do have your like more modern styles over there. It's not all like English summer ales and ESBs, but like you do like the places that I brewed. I never got to go to the more modern place that was in Edinburgh. We just like there was 12 breweries to go to and we went to 10. So like you only had time to go to 10 and I wasn't lucky enough to go to the one that was super small and they tried to match you with what size production that they thought you were going to be doing. So I was going to bigger, more production size breweries. But yeah, the places I went to, I think I probably brewed an ESB at every one. If I had to guess, maybe a blonde ale. I think I don't even think I brewed a lager. There was one. This dude, I mean, it was literally like, we got there at 9:00 and we left at 5:00 and he still had like 6 more hours on his brew day. And we left and we had a whole ass English lunch and we had like 3 or 4 pints at lunch. And he did not care about it. And I was like, this is not for me. This amount of time is not for me. I was like, at my brewery or when I get out of here, we're going to be running off much quicker and we're going to be much more about getting in and getting out and not
being efficient. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
It was a crazy day. It was a fun day, but man, I was like, I think he had 2 kids and a wife, and I was like, what is going on? Couldn't imagine doing that. Yeah, I know some brewers that are very slow, but not that slow.
Garrett, do you keep in touch with anybody that you worked with over there?
Not really. I have every once in a while I will hear from one of my classmates. He was South Korean classmate. He was he was kind of just there to be there, honestly. He was his family was the sole importer of fullers in South Korea, and he wanted to see what brewing was like because he honestly, if he had the money, he didn't need to be doing anything. He could just run his company and be fine. But he wanted to see the other side of it, so he went to school. I still hear from him every once in a while. I hear from a couple other guys just randomly. The 3 U.S. guys, I've seen one of the guys from the East Coast, Virginia area at CBC, but not in a while. I think I saw him. I think it was in Denver, so it was 2019 was the last time I saw him. Every once in a while, I still follow them all on Instagram, so I see a lot of what they're doing and everything. But most of us don't talk as much anymore.
When you come from England and they're teaching the kind of the traditional styles, where does the modern day beers come into play for you? The adjuncts and stuff. Is that something you always kind of wanted to do?
No, I mean, honestly, no. Especially back 10 years ago when we opened, there weren't a lot of places doing super high adjuncted stouts. I mean, there was a couple, obviously. But it wasn't as prevalent as it is nowadays. Obviously, if you're opening a brewery and your intention is to make beer, hype beer, I guess you got to do a pastry stout. You better be throwing beer in a barrel and expect to throw coconut on in whatever a year or a year and a half. I think when I got back, I wasn't really even sure what I was gonna brew when we opened. We had some ideas. Obviously, we wanted to start with an IPA. We wanted to start with a wheat beer. A lot of our ideas that we started with were just not very good. our first brewer kind of really helped clarify like what we were going to be making. He was big into sours. He was the one who wrote the Savra recipe originally. So he was very much into that whole, like the hype beer. It's just like, honestly, like he was big beer trader, big hype beer guy. He loved the Veil. That was like his favorite brewery. So that was like, we would drink those beers all the time after work. He would get them. His dad was a pilot. His dad would bring him some beers from the Veil when he was in that area. So like when very early on, that's what we were trying to do. And then like, as we went on, he left, we just kind of like kept working. And like, as we kept hiring people, I kind of was like, I'm going to let that brewer be the voice of the brewery. Like their personality is going to be the voice of the brewery. And then 2020, 2021, that was kind of like when I was like, all right, this is dumb. Like nobody else is making decisions but me. It's me and Steve, basically. Steve has been there since 2 weeks after we opened. He wasn't always a brewer, but he wasn't always on the production side, but he's always been at the brewery. So like, it's basically him and I making every decision now. Obviously I get input from sales staff and front of house staff, but like it's his and I's personality that is guiding most of the beers at this point. So like, he's a big West Coast guy. He loves his West Coast. He loves his bitter beer. And so I do try to keep like traditional West Coast IPAs on tap for him, but everything else it's kind of just like knowing what we want and kind of going from there. And when it comes to like big stouts, it's mostly me and looking up what other people are doing. And if it's sours is almost entirely me, just seeing what we really haven't brewed a new sour in quite some time. It's just like people have their favorites, and it's not really worth it to deviate from the 7 or 8 that we're doing regularly, because like at most times we can't keep them on tap anyway. So it doesn't, like, why brew something that sells as well as it does, or why brew something else when those beers are selling as well as they do. So unless like basically it's just me picking what I want to brew at this point, not so much like inventing something new, unless it's something like that 900th batch where I'm looking for something totally different than what we've done. We do have a couple people that ask for banana. We have a sour called Nanner Pudding. And we have got a guy that, like, if you scroll through our Facebook page, he always comments that he wants it back. At one point there was another guy who was asking for a beer called Puckett, which is our pineapple upside down sour. And I believe I said to him, I was like, if you keep asking, I'm going to keep pushing it back. So I pushed it back for like a year and a half because he kept asking for it. And I was like, I'm not kidding. I was like, yeah, like, if you ask for it, I'm not, I mean, don't annoy me. It was like I saw it on Facebook, like every single Facebook post for like ever had this dude asking for it. I think if you go back to like whenever we finally brought it back, like we did a post with every single one of his comments flashing. And finally I was like, all right, well, it's been long enough. We can bring it back, because we did a ton of it. And then I was like, all right, we need to pull back a little bit. We've been doing this beer too much. Like it's losing its specialness. So for that one, I mean, like if it's like eventually, like if you brew some beers, like if you brew your one-offs that are like typically only supposed to be, like, not supposed to be, but like are only once in a while, and you brew it like every other month or whatever, loses its appeal to the masses, and then you end up sitting on a bunch of beer because people are like, oh, I don't need to buy this beer. They'll brew it again next month. So that's when I end up not brewing it for a year and a half or whatever.
Yeah. Did any of your home recipes make it to Streetside, at least originally?
Two-ish. Alpha, which is like our IPA, it was just like your standard IPA that you make when you're home brewing. You just 2-row brewer's malt, and it's Citron and Eldorado. And that was kind of I think maybe originally we had lemon drop in it, maybe because it was supposed to be like Stone Delicious, because I really liked that beer back when it first came out. And then that's changed. I don't even know that they grow lemon drop anymore. I haven't seen it in quite some time. So like it's changed quite a bit. It's definitely more. It was like way less bitter when we first opened, and then I've dialed up that bitterness to be like almost a true West Coast IPA at this point. It was kind of based around that Bell's Two Hearted idea of like malty and a touch of bitterness, but not like rip your face off bitter. And now I'm much more on your true West Coast side. And Sofa King, which honestly is not the same recipe at all, other than the hops. When I first brewed it, it's a India red ale. It was 2-row and roast barley to give it color, and probably like some crystal malt or something. And now we've completely changed. There's a company in Germany that makes a malt called Red X, which is like a red hued base malt. So we use that, and we use just like whatever pale 2-row brewer's malt that we have on hand. And then so yes and no on that one, but those are the only two that are definitely homebrew recipes. Even like Raspberry Beret that we've been brewing since day one is not the same beer as it was back when we first opened, because we don't make it as a Berliner Weiss anymore. We just make it as a sour, which is just all brewer's malt.
Just go back to Sofa King real quick, because that was not lost on me. You could fill it Sofa King and then fill in any adverb you wanted to after that for 100 years, couldn't you? Sofa King Red and Sofa whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't remember why I named it that. It was just like,
because it's funny.
It is funny. It was
funny.
like, it was very early on. We had some names early on that I was trying to be punny on, and I try not to do that anymore. But unless I'm like truly out of names. But yeah, they were, even now names are like not one of the most difficult parts of the job, but trying to find a name. Like we've got on Friday, the beer I'm brewing is another West Coast Pils with Forbidden Root and Orchestrated Minds, and we'll release in July or whatever. And I'm like dreading trying to find a name for it. I have no idea what I want to call this beer.
You're trying to find a tie probably all the time, right? A tie to the name to the beer.
Sometimes if I can like try to find, like sometimes a great name will just come to me. Sometimes a not so great name, like the Shiz Bananas. I was very happy with that one. Spring Breakers was good. Like it made sense. Like we go to South Carolina, and it's a whatever. I was thinking like it's a good beer to drink on the beach. Speak of the Devil Stories. Well, you know what? Their brewery's closed. So it was one of the base is a beer that my a brewer brought with him from a brewery in Cincinnati that's now closed. And he was like, well, I hate naming beers. I don't want to name it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'm going to name it. And I think I may have just watched the Witch, which is like what the label is based off of. And I was like, oh, this will be fun. Like Speak of the Devil, like whatever. Sometimes we'll push the devil imagery a little bit too far sometimes, but like whatever. And I was like, oh, like he hated his boss. Like, and we were talking about his boss. I was like, and his boss may have showed up. So I was like, Speak of the Devil, whatever. And then like a couple weeks after we released the beer, he's like, by the way, that's the beer I brewed for my wife. And I was like, well, you probably should have told me that, because I named it Speak of the Devil. Like that's on you, dude. Yeah, like that one works. I like that. That's one of my favorite ones. Like Demogorgon doesn't really make any sense. Like it was just like we brewed a beer that was called Where's Barb, and then we barrel aged it and we call it Demogorgon. Like that is kind of a tenuous line between the names, but whatever, it is what it is. And it's now our, like, I don't know if it's our most popular beer, but it's our biggest stout release for sure. But it's also tied to Halloween, it's tied to Stranger Things, it's tied to all sorts of stuff. It's definitely one of those ones where like it may not make a whole lot of sense to anyone who's not like in Cincinnati and doesn't know the lore of the beer, but it is what it is.
One of the beers you have that makes me laugh the most is called the Boring Beer Lager.
Oh yeah, Boring Beer. Yep.
Which is the complete opposite of almost every other beer you have, name wise.
That is, that is definitely like, it is a boring beer. It is the, like I put a little, like it's supposed to be our Bud Light. I mean, that's what we tell people. Like when we when we have it on tap or when we have it in cans or whatever, it is supposed to be Bud Light. So when somebody asks, like, it would, if I could, it would have been called Our Lightest Beer, but everybody has or many breweries out there have a beer called Our Lightest Beer.
But you got to have something like that, right? For people that are coming in.
I mean, we have a couple now. We have less now because boring beer exists, but like Game Ball, which is our golden ale, is one of those, is that beer. What is that beer that we always have? Because boring beer because it's a lager, it takes a little bit more time. We can't always time it up to always have it. It's one of those ones where like, it's great to have during the summer. So I try to make sure it's on tap during the summer. It's great for football season, great for Reds games. So it is definitely one of those beers that like, I wanted people to know. I think I said it as a joke, and then our creative guy was like, no, that's great. We should run with that. So that's what we did. And we were we really tried to push that as like its own, because it was like right around the time Garage Beer was taking off that we brewed, I think, our first batch. And I was like, all right, well, like maybe if this catches on, like this could take off. And obviously, like we did put a lot of creative work behind it, but like we're too small and we don't have the push that like we tried to make it a thing. And it's a thing for us, but it's not really a thing for anybody else. It's coming out again here soon. We've got, if I could pull it up and share that with you guys, I would, but we've like, there's a little stamp on it. There's a little stamp on it that says, in an exciting new color, and the blue is just like a slightly lighter shade of blue. And it's not like, obviously we try not to make anything too exciting because like that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is our only 12-ounce can.
Garrett, Streetside is a family run operation. Yes. And you're in your 10th year now.
Yes.
What's it meant for you guys, your whole family, you and your entire family?
That is an interesting question that I am probably not the best person to ask. I think my parents and my sister, I mean, like most of my family has worked at the brewery. My wife worked at the brewery. My mom manages the tap room. My dad does CFO type stuff. My sister was marketing for a little bit. My cousin and her husband both bartended. My brother-in-law built the outside tables. So like it's definitely provided, and he also plows for us during the winter because I stopped wanting to do that. I stopped wanting to shovel. Like one of the things that we say to bartenders to remind them like that this is important. Like this is like how, like that what they do is important. And like, this is how a lot of people pay their bills. Like this is it's everyone's livelihood. It's like, it's been a huge part of our lives for 10 years. It's like I said, like Steve has been there for 10 years. Our sales guy's been there for like 8.5. One of our brewers has been there for 5 years. Like our guys, the guys that are the core people at the brewery have been there for a long time. And it's like how they feed their family and how they pay their bills and all that. So like it's incredibly important for us to like keep everything going and like doing the best we can, because like that's it. Like we don't have anything else going on. Like for like me and for Kathy and Brian, my parents, like we've sacrificed a ton to keep everything going. If you ask my wife, I'm sure she's not super psyched at like what our social life looks like or what our vacations look like, because if I was working a normal whatever job at 36, we would have our 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, however many weeks of vacation that like a person normally gets. Like during the summer, she goes on vacation and I'm either at the brewery or I'm at a festival or whatever. We've given up a lot of our time in our late 20s, or now getting into our late 30s on this project that is Streetside. It's just one of those things. Like we've put a ton into it, and like we're happy. I'm glad that like people enjoy Streetside. I'm glad people enjoy the beer. I think we've gotten to the point where like the beer is always getting better. We're always trying to improve, and like it's nice that people recognize that and want to talk about it, like you guys want to talk about it and want to drink it like the people that come to the brewery do, and whatever, you know what I mean? It's like we've been recognized, I guess nationally-ish.
Yeah.
And with awards and with festivals and all that stuff, and we have our people at home that are the ones that really do pay the bills, the regulars that the level of beer in there every day. So, or not every day.
Well, and you're probably going to be
little...
maybe humble about this, but in a city where there's a lot of great breweries, and Scott would agree with that too. I mean, Streetside gets talked about as being ranked right up there. I mean, is there anything that you really feel like you can say about that, as by how you feel when you hear those kind of things?
I mean, like, there's when it comes to like where you look at yourself in the like echelons of breweries around you, like I can certainly see that, like, I mean, just based on like awards or whatever, like if you just base it on like, or your Untappd score or whatever, like if you just go off of real metrics, yes, we are definitely like up there in the echelon, like upper echelon. But everyone's got their thing, you know what I mean? It's we're not trying to be West Side, we're not trying to be Mad Tree, we're not trying to be like High Grain, because they all have their thing. Like Mad Tree's a big boy, and they play on a much bigger scale. Like West Side has their thing. They are wholly focused on the West Side and Westwood. And then Nine Giant and High Grain both have their food focused, their beer focused. They've got all sorts of stuff that they have going on. Like both their kitchens are like top tier restaurants that you would have, just if it, like, don't even talk about the beer, like just the food itself.
Sure.
We've got our thing going on, and our thing is mostly beer. Like we've got our food truck out front, but like we are mostly we are getting people in by making the best beer we can. So that's our thing. I think we've done that well, obviously, but that's why I'm still doing, that's why I'm still actively involved every day. That's why I'm still brewing. That's why I'm still doing all this, because like if I'm not doing it, like, you never know, it might not get done, or it might not get done to my standards.
Yeah, and the great thing is some of the ones that you mentioned, we like, but I also go, Streetside is up there because you guys have your own thing, and that makes it different, especially for guys like us that want that different experience. Hey, let's go to Streetside. We've been here, but Streetside's going to be on our list too.
Sure. Yeah. And like one of the nice things is like some of the smaller breweries, I mean, like you go to I'm just going to keep going back to Mad Tree, but if you go to Mad Tree, like they're always going to have their beers that they always do. Like if you come to Streetside, like for the most part, you're probably going to find, I mean, if you haven't been there for 6 months, it's going to be almost an entirely new tap list. Like there might be something that, like, there's going to be some crossover, especially during the summer, where we'll have Raspberry Beret, we'll have Return of the Mac, we'll have Sub Raw. But like, other than that, we've got 24 taps, and it'll probably be 21 beers that you have not had, or is a new batch of a beer that you have had. So
you guys are one of those breweries that are perfect for flights, and not one flight, 2 or 3. Because what you just said, there's 21 new ones, and I haven't been in a couple of years, so I'm going to every single thing is going to be new. The colors are going to be all different on the flight, and it's going to be great. You're going to get to try all these styles. I think your brewery is set up perfectly to have flights at least for the way Steve and I drink beer.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's definitely, like, I have my opinions on flights. I don't know that they're the best way to consume a beer, but if you're trying to try every beer that we have, that is like, there's very few ways that you can do it other than getting a flight and trying 4 beers at a time.
So we're traveling into town, as we're like traveling town. He goes a couple times there, a few times a year, but I might get once a year. So I get, I want to get all I can at one time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, like, especially Cincinnati, I mean, like many towns are like this, but like Asheville, like you were, I don't even know if we said it while we were recording, but Asheville, you can walk to a lot of these places that are like, you can try a bunch of beers easily by walking. Like you can't do that in Cincinnati. Like you gotta drive, you gotta Uber, and there's a ton of breweries. So like if you're gonna have a whole day of drinking, flights are probably a good way to do it.
Well, Scott and I are coming up in September, and we're going to be doing all sorts of brewery tours, and we'll be at Streetside. So, when we stop in there, hopefully we're going to see you. But one of the reasons we're coming up, we do an annual trip every year. We hit breweries. Sometimes we'll hit a baseball game, but also we're coming up this year because we wanted to go to Oktoberfest Cincinnati, which I've been to. Scott has never been before. Are you guys going to have any involvement in that?
No, probably
No?
not.
Okay.
It is, honestly, I don't even know how to do it. It's like, I would have to ask our sales guy how to get involved. They do have like a local craft beer tent, but I don't remember how it works. The other thing is like our fest beer isn't really named something that would make a whole lot of sense to like send. So like it was prior to us trying to make lagers a little bit more of like a classy affair. Obviously, boring beer is not like one of them, but like eventually, like we started to be like, all right, like our Japanese rice lager is just gonna be one word, and it's gonna be very short, very succinct, and you're gonna know what you're drinking. Like it's fest beer is called Rainy Day Clubhouse. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to anyone. You got to read the story on the back of the can to understand why we call it that. But yeah, it's one of those. I would like to be there, but I like to just go as like a consumer.
Yeah.
I went last year for the first time in forever because they moved it down to the park on
Sawyer Point.
What, they moved it down to Sawyer Point. It used to be up on Fountain Square, and then it's moved around. But like now that it's off the streets, it's so much better. It's like a real like Oktoberfest. You've got your tents. It's all like it's so much like physically it's cooler. Like it's not as hot because you're not standing in the street. It's like it was very, very nice. I was really enjoyed myself this past year. I'm very glad that they moved it down to Sawyer Point because it's a lot more like viable for me to go down and hang out. I just don't want to like hang out on the street. Like I'll just go and sit. You can sit in the grass. You can't sit in the middle of a street. That would be weird.
Do you do a lot of will you be doing many Oktoberfest events? At Streetside, come
We've
during
got
the
one.
time? Just
We've
one?
got one.
Yep.
We do normally it's around Labor Day, around that weekend. It might be that Friday. I'd have to look at the calendar and see what like the first Friday. I think we try to do it like the first Friday in September. Yeah, we do it like a mug release, and we've got our tuba guys. Last year we did pretzels. We probably won't do pretzels this year because it doesn't work with a Mexican food truck. They don't do a whole lot of pretzels. Maybe we'll try to figure out a way to get pretzels there. But yeah, that is like one of my favorite events that we do, just because it feels nice in a German town to do something German beer focused.
We're definitely going to reach out to you before we get there and just spend several days there, not just Oktoberfest. We're going to come by and see you at the brewery, but maybe we can hang out and have some beers outside of there as well.
Yeah. It's there's some places that I like to take people for beers that are definitely like not like hidden spots or anything. It's not like anything crazy, but like we have our spots that we like to take collabs or whatever because it's seeing it from the like an insider side is a little bit more fun than just popping by a place. The guys from Spyglass up in New Hampshire were in, and we went to Tiki Bar and we stopped by Hofbrauhaus, which like I haven't been in forever. Like sometimes you get to see it like that, where it's like you get to be a tourist in your own town, or the other side is like you get to go to like the places that I go every other weekend or whatever, and I know all the bartenders and they know what I order and all that. So
yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
Going back to 10 years, is there going to be a big celebration sometime this year to mark all of that and what you're planning on doing?
There is. I'll look that up because I'll get it on my phone and I will look because I want to actually have the correct date. What weekend is that? The 26th. Saturday the 26th of September. That was the official, that will be 10 years to the day that we opened. That was, we'll do like a pre-party on Friday. We've got a DJ coming who's DJ'd a couple different events for us. And then Saturday will be like the all day thing. We do the same thing every year, basically. 5 or 6 years, because 5 years was COVID. 6 years we did we really blew it out, and did a whole weekend. Whole weekend is really tough on all of us. So we're just going to do like Friday chill event. And then Saturday do the whole thing. The whole Hickey family will be there all day. Like last year we had, my friends from Dayton, I went to Dayton with, came down. I had a buddy. We'll see if anybody, I don't know if any of my like actual friends that were here for the opening will come down. We'll see what's going on. We're doing a giant collab that I just kind of finished setting up. Like that'll be the culmination of this 10-year series. It's basically everybody, many people that I've done a collab with, many like friends in the industry, all sorts of stuff. So we'll see if anybody comes up for the event, or if they just come up for the brew day, or they just come up for packaging, or if they don't come up at all and we just do it all via email. We'll see how that goes. It's hard to wrangle brewers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, might be the biggest collab that has ever happened in Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I want to say that for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 different breweries. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Only one local. 9 Giants, the only local. So we are. Yeah, it's gonna be a interesting couple days. But yeah, we're already trying to think of how to make it. We'll have a couple of different releases. We've got some barrels that we've released in the past we've got like the last barrel that we have of that brand that we'll release. 450 North, we did a collab with 450 North a couple years ago that we released fresh, that we're going to release. And we've got 450, and there's one other brewery that we did a stout with a couple of years ago that we'll release for the anniversary as well.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it should be fun. This is actually like this is probably going to be the easiest on me that anniversary has ever been. Trying to wrangle 5 different or 6 different collabs like we've done in the past is like way too much. It's such a hassle. This is actually going to be easier, even though it's trying to get 14 different people to like figure out their own thing. It will be hopefully it'll be easier just because it's only 1 or 2 days really of brewing and 1 day of packaging. So I don't have to worry about like trying to figure out 5 different brew days and 5 different days of packaging and all that. That's always, this might be the way I try to do it from now on.
Yeah. Like that collab, would that be like, hey, all right, let's all agree on a style, and then let's all agree on who's going to do what for the collab?
It'll probably just be say, hey, like we all make, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to be an IPA.
Yeah.
Because, and it might be, maybe it'll be a double New England. Maybe it'll be like, maybe we'll do like a triple New England. Maybe we'll make it like, because at this, like, if you're trying to really blow it out, like the higher ABV tends to be how people do it. That's what I'm kind of thinking, is just like do a double or a triple or whatever and just release it. And basically it'll probably just be like, hey, like, this is what I'm thinking. Does anyone have any issues with it? Or like, does anyone have anything, like anything experimental that they want to use? Like, sometimes what will happen is like somebody will get something but like none of us can get, or like the rest of the people can't get. So you've got like experimental stuff from YCH, or you got something from a New Zealand hop grower that we can't get because we're not part of either like an experimental trial program, or like we just don't buy enough from whatever. Maybe that's like, maybe they'll throw us a bag or 2 or whatever of hops just to get something different. Also, like, it's a good way for other people to get to trial, like by me brewing it. Like they can, if I get something that they can't get, like can trial what that tastes like in a beer. The double New England that we just did with Spyglass and Structures used 2 different types of Verwaka from 2 different cultivators, and they were both excited to try it because one is like the furthest south hop grower, and one's like kind of the traditional hop grower that everybody thinks about in New Zealand. So they were excited to see what the differences are. It was very interesting to see like what the flavors were. We actually end up having to like not age it, but like let it cool down a little bit. It was very, very, very dank, and it kind of has chilled out a little bit. We let cold crash for a little bit longer than we normally would because it needed some time to mellow out.
When everybody says, hey, this is what we're in for, do you still have to develop the recipe? Okay, I've got this and I've got this and I've got this, and I know what the style's going to be, but now you got to dial in the recipe and the numbers and all that stuff. Is that kind of your job at this point for the 10-year?
Yeah. I mean, I will write the recipe, and like if anybody has any, like probably what it'll end up happening is like I'll probably send out a poll. That's what I'm thinking. I'll send out a poll and be like, vote on what you want to do. And I'll send out the recipe. Like, does anyone have any does that anyone have any huge issues with this? And if somebody's like, I don't like that, then I'll take into a consideration like whether I strip out the thing that they don't like, or be like, or maybe, hopefully, that's the positive, and they're like, hey, we really like this, maybe do this, take that into consideration, and then apply it to the brew day, and then just kind of go from there. Most of it is like us just writing, like I'll write the recipe just like I always do, and then see if anybody has any like issues one way or the other, and then we go from there, and then hopefully everything turns out well. I will probably not brew any of it so that I can manage it a little bit more. And if we've got 28 people in the brewery, I'm definitely gonna need to not be brewing that day. But yeah, we are. We'll see how we've already started to talk about the logistics of having that many people in the brewery for possibly 2 days.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like herding cats, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we'll see.
There's no doubt it'll be good.
I'm not that I don't want everybody to show up, but it almost is better if only half the people show up because it's because it is going to be, if everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be there, it's a lot of people to be dealing with, and finding everyone things to do in Cincinnati for 2 nights, possibly 4 nights if they stay for the weekend, is going to be extra interesting.
Yeah.
I know we're winding down, but there's something I really want to talk about is your brewing system. You guys do something which I think is unique. You've got a direct fire system. And I think that's kind of unique in the States, or at least in the minority of what breweries are using. Can you talk about that a little bit? And kind of why is that different from like electric or steam?
I think it is I think it's significantly less now than it was when we opened. I was at Rivertown, they were on direct fire system, and that was what I was comfortable with. That's part of the reason we went with it. Steam is definitely like a more efficient system. I wanted to go with direct fire for the caramelization. It's something that you can really, you're really getting a lot of. It's a different type of caramelization on direct fire because it's obviously direct fire, as the name implies. Steam, you just kind of have like it's a different type of caramelization that you get on the kettle. I think actually steam is a better system for like IPAs. You're imparting a lot less color on an IPA. If you're trying to go for that straw color, like it would be nice to not have the direct fire system. We can change the boil time, and that's the big way that we can reduce the amount of color. But yeah, it was like one of those things that it was what I was comfortable with. In the UK, it's pretty popular. That and electric are very popular. And I had never worked with a boiler before, and I didn't really want to start working with a boiler at my own brewery because it is a hassle. You have a lot more regulation on with a boiler than you do, and a lot more maintenance than you do with a direct fire. Like I really don't have to do a whole lot with our system. We'll call somebody in every once in a while to clean it out and make sure everything's running right and the combustion is running properly. But honestly, like we kind of just like turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. Like it's fine. It's great for stouts. It really, like the amount of caramelization that you get on a direct fire system is significant compared to steam. I would say the worst part for us is that it takes a long time. You can't get to a boil quite as quickly as you can with a steam system. It takes us, once we're done running off, it takes us like another 35-ish minutes to get to a boil, whereas steam system, like most of the time, those guys are like 4 degrees off of a boil when they get to end of runoff. So there's some definite trade backs. If I were to go back and do it again, I'd probably get a steam system. You can do a lot more. You can do decoction mashes. You can do step mashes. You can do all sorts of stuff. And like I said, the color pickup on a New England is significantly less. It is what it is. I mean, I've got my system. We like it for what it is. It does the job. I mean, in general, I like our brew house. There are better brew houses out there for sure, but what we what we've got works for us, and the big issues that we have are solvable for the most part, and don't take a whole lot of like extra thinking on our part to remedy.
But you're still learning, right? I mean, you haven't mastered everything yet.
I mean, on that brew house, there's not much left to learn, if I'm honest. It is, but like once you get to fermentation side, like there's so much stuff that like there's new science. I mean, there's new science coming out every month about fermentation.
Technology?
There's when new hops come out, like the physical action of brewing on that brew house, like there's not a whole lot left to learn. I'm sure there's something. Sorry, my dog just ran up. Hi, bud. The actual physical action of brewing, there's not a whole lot left to like learn on that side of things. But once it gets to, like I said, like fermentation, it's like with everything new that's coming out, all the new advanced products that are coming out, I don't know that you could say with any certainty that you know everything like that. I mean, I would, like, if I were to put a percentage on it, like it's super, like I know 40% of the things that are going on out there, you know what I mean? Like it's 50% maybe, like especially with like all the trial programs that everybody's doing. Like if we're not involved in it, like I have no idea what's going on. Like I'm still finding new products. We're using a new product next Monday and Tuesday that I've never used before. It's similar to other product that we've used, but not exactly. So it's always like we get to learn, we get to see how it interacts with the beer compared to the product that we used to use.
You know, breweries are typically dog friendly. This podcast is dog friendly too. So
there you go. Yeah, he is the brewery dog of my two dogs. He's the one that used to go to work with me a lot. And he still goes to the brewery fairly frequently. We have one. He's chill, and the female is not.
Okay, she's just happy to see Dad.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys have something, to be remiss if we didn't talk about it, Brew Cause. And it's you guys help local nonprofit organizations and charities. Talk about that, kind of how people could get involved in that.
Yeah, so that is like not every Wednesday, whenever we have a charity that is interested. The concept was basically like it's expensive to rent a room to do a fundraiser. So like what our thought was when we first started that was like we have slow nights, obviously everyone does. Wednesdays tend to be the slowest. Like if somebody wants to come and rent the brewery, quote unquote, it's not really renting. You're just, they come, they show up, and then they get a portion of the proceeds or they get a portion of how much pints sold over the course of their brew cause. And it's just like a nice way to give back it helps us fill the tap room on a Wednesday. It helps them. They don't have to pay for rental. They get a nice little donation afterwards. Really all we ask from them is to promote it, which doesn't always happen. But when it does, it's like a great partnership. When people are involved and they're into it, and they do their part, we do our part. They can get a nice check that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten, and they get to bring all their people in and do whatever they want. We have our other charity events that we do that aren't tied to the brew cause, but like we'll probably have two or three a month on Wednesdays, just grabbing people, just coming in and setting up a table and getting information out. I think we have one next week that's gone on Miami Valley Forestry, maybe just forestry group that comes in. They have a happy hour. They meet with people that are donors or people that work with them or whatever, and then that's it. I mean, it might give out information, but really it's pretty low key.
Yeah, and if an organization want to be a part of that, they can just go to your website. There's a little thing they can fill out, put their information in there, and
Yep. Yeah, it's super easy. Email goes to my mom. She'll, whenever she sends an email, and there is a little bit of vetting. You can't just like do it. There is like, we want to make sure that you're a real organization, that like if we're writing you a check, we're not just writing a guy a check or whatever. There was somebody once upon a time that tried to do that. It was just like, they were like, oh, I'm doing this and whatever. And then they wanted a personal check written out to them. And we had to be like, all right, it needs to go to a 501c or whatever. It needs to go to an organization. Can't just go to a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's super easy to sign up on the website. There's a tab and everything. I mean, like obviously you found it because we doing pre conversation about it. But yeah, I mean, it works. It's a nice win-win for everybody. It's a nice way for us to keep and stay involved in the community, other than like our pet causes that we always do. So, and we get to meet new people doing interesting stuff. I haven't ever like gotten more involved with any of these, but I think my mom is like, there's a guy who has a duck rescue, and she was very involved in that for a little bit. I mean, the biggest one that we do is the Who's a Good Beer with the Save the Animals Foundation. They do 2 big giant fundraisers twice a year. They get 25% of proceeds from the can sales. So that's our big one. But I think that may have started out as a brew cause very early on.
It's under your website. It's under the About Us page. It's right there. It just says brew cause right there. So it's a direct link right to, if someone's looking for that, you can fill out the information right there.
You would think I would know it, considering I edit the website.
That's what we're here for.
Streetsidebrewery.com.
Yeah.
I know that. I know the event page. I don't know. I have to say I don't go to the other sites. I don't go to the other tabs very often.
A little busy brewing beer, got a few things going on, right?
Yeah. You got a lot going on. I've got some 3 or 4 little fun things to end with. Steve may have something else after this, but if you don't mind, we'll go through them real quick. They're fun.
Yeah,
they won't take long. Okay. What's the most British thing you brought back from the UK?
I didn't bring anything actually like physically back. The most British. Ooh.
Word.
Fuck. Probably Black Cat's our brown ale. It's like it was my goal to make like a Newcastle brown ale. I really wanted to make something that was tied to where I went to school, so that was the one. But other than that, like I didn't really get into soccer. I didn't really get into like I went to a Sunderland game. It was interesting and fun, but like I wasn't. Other than that, like I wasn't.
You weren't following the royal family.
No, I mean like
rugby.
Oh, you know what? Most Americans aren't big like blood pudding fans, but like I'll eat haggis and blood pudding. Like I'll eat some stuff that is a little weird to most Americans. Yeah, that's I have an affinity for it. I haven't had it in forever. You can't get it, but I'll eat it if I get back there at some point. I will still eat that.
I had it in Ireland, so I can attest. It was actually good. It was really good.
Yeah, that's why I had blood pudding. Blood pudding was breakfast in Dublin.
Yep, it's good. Good stuff. All right. What's the most craft beer guy thing someone has said to you or you've heard?
We have some customers who have said some interesting things. Most of it is like the stereotypical like home brewer, like you should do this instead of this, or like why don't you do this instead of this? Because I do it like this on my homebrew system, and like you could easily do it, and like that just doesn't work that way. Actually, I have a buddy who will text me every once in a while. He's a big home brewer. He'll text me stuff. I'm just like, this is stupid. And like, luckily, he's heard it enough times. But like, yeah, we'll just outright be like, no, dude, that's dumb.
It's dumb.
That's dumb.
Especially when you've done it. Like you've done the home brewing thing. You're like, it's stupid. All right.
Yeah.
Which beer style would absolutely lose in a fight?
Probably like Beer de Garde, maybe.
Beer de Garde.
Beer de Garde, or maybe like a French table beer or something like that. Nothing against the French, but like a table beer, like 2.5%.
Yeah.
Wheat beer, Saison wheat beer type thing. Probably
that makes sense. Yeah.
He's Glass Joe in Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Remember that game? Did you ever play that game?
Yeah.
Very first guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've got one last thing, and it's kind of a 3-parter, but we go quick. Okay. If there were weight divisions in beer styles, and I'm just going to pick out 3 beer styles, who would be the champ of each? Okay. The lightweight division, I'm going to give you some options: American Lager, Hefeweizen, Amber Ale, ESB, Pale Ale, Brown Ale.
It's American Lager.
Lager.
I was going to say American Lager right after the.
American Lager wins the lightweight division. The welterweight division: West Coast IPA, Hazy Black IPA, Rye IPA, or Brute? Who wins that one?
Ooh.
Who's the champ?
Can I vote?
Sure.
I'm going Black IPA.
You're going Black IPA,
No,
okay.
Absolutely not. It's like West Coast IPA or New England. I mean, if you just like think about like the market, just like if you're thinking about like what you're seeing the most of, it's probably hazy nowadays. It's like the new.
Well, you're the brewer, so I'm going to go with you.
the new welterweight champion is the New England, but like in the past, it was definitely West Coast IPA.
West Coast, and I feel like West Coast in that division is the Muhammad Ali. Might lose the title to Hazy, but come right back and knock Joe Frazier out. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, all right. And then the last one, the heavyweight division, barrel-aged Imperial Stout, barley wine, pastry stout, Russian Imperial Stout, Belgian Quad. And if there's another one I hadn't put in there, feel free to add.
Wine.
Barley wine wins the heavyweight championship.
Easy.
Wow.
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like them and I don't drink them, but like that, there's a reason why I don't like them and I don't drink them
because of the heavyweight champs.
Heavy. Yeah, they're heavy and it's a lot of beer. It's a lot of beer to have in one sitting.
Yeah.
All right, and to come full circle, ESB versus American Pale Ale in 3-round boxing match. Who wins?
Probably. I don't know. I'm tempted to say ESB, but it's probably Pale Ale.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, just going with my gut on that one.
Yeah. Like you get the ESB, the old tried and true, but the APA comes in, and it's kind of bulked up and
it's just got a little bit more zing,
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of the last thing I had. I had more, but we'll save that for another day. Steve, you got something to end on?
I got one thing, and I couldn't less the slide, man. You mentioned a Steve during this podcast episode, and even though this podcast is going to come out after this happens, on May the 8th, you have a special event going on at your brewery. Can you talk about that?
It is Steve Day. It's a celebration of all things Steve.
Not because of me.
Not because of you, because of Steve Schmidt. I don't really. This is like our creative guys thing. He wanted to do it, and I was like, whatever. I don't care one way or the other. If you want to do Steve Day, the thing I say to them often is like, the world's your oyster, or it's your world. I'm just living in it. So yeah, if they feel passionate about doing something like that, they did it. So Steve Day, got the Steve flight, you got the Steve discount, you got the Steve food item on the menu for the food truck, and then we have Steve stickers. It's a whole thing. Well, it's just a sticker that says "Hello, my name is Steve." So you're not like you could just go to Staples and get a sticker that says that. Yeah, it's we've done it always, and it's always on. It's always a couple days after Steve's wife's birthday, which is not intentional, or the first time wasn't intentional, and now it's kind of just funny, so we keep doing it. We could move it around. There's no reason to keep Steve Day on the day that we have it, but we think it's funny. At least some of us think it's funny to keep it right by his wife's birthday.
Just do it.
Well, that's
Is
awesome.
there a vetting process? Are you checking IDs at the door to make sure there is a
We
Steve?
will, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be like a Steve or a variant of a Steve. Stefan. I don't know. There's a whole list of Steve's.
So
Steve
on my
names.
driver's license, I can
There
get
you go.
in.
Yeah. You could
Okay.
definitely get the discount for sure.
Well, Steve and I used to get confused with each other early on, so I don't wonder if I could pass for a Steve.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
With the proper ID.
I mean, if you said your name was Steve, you never know. We might just give it to you.
Okay.
Well, cheers to that.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
You got 800 Steves in the tap room.
Yeah.
That's
We
awesome.
would. I think we would know on that one if it was 800.
Well, Garrett, you've been great, man. You've been great. We've had you for 2 hours, and this has been fantastic. And we want to say cheers to Steve, but also cheers to you and Streetside on 10 years.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Congrats to you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you so much for spending so much time. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one, guys.
All right.
too,
See you
man.
soon on the Brewery Underground
Thanks for the beer.
Podcast.
Catch you later.
Cheers.